If you remember, I was very concerned about this part of the top of the guitar because it was having waves all around and something was not working on there. And 2 days later I can see I have good news. You see the tape here? This has a function, and as you can see, the tape is not under tension. There is a little gap between the two parts of the crack. That means that both sides of the cracks are now closed one to each other. So that's good news. And also the waves are not so critical now. There are still some of it, but now I think it's something that you can handle with the gluing of the binding and so on. So all in all, yeah, I think that it was a good idea to remove. Also, I have here the insert, which is placed like this, and I can assure you that this can go back to its place right now, just by a tiny bit. I don't know, 0.1 millimeters, 3 or 4 thou. No, it's just right there. So it's difficult for me to think that that tiny oversized insert was making such a huge problem in this area, but that was the case. And now that it's out, yeah, I can say all in all everything looks more relaxed and relieved. But now I have to do something soon because I don't want this to start cracking again. And the insert was in fact doing its job. When I placed the insert in the top of the guitar, everything becomes stable right there. But to understand the overall context, I have to say that the crack is not ending here. If I turn around the guitar, it's difficult to see on camera, but all this part in here is down the bridge. So the bridge is glued over this part of the crack. That makes me wonder, what happens if I remove the bridge? Will the gap close even a little bit more? Because there is actual crack down here, or is the top going to crack elsewhere? So I have two options here. One is what I said, to remove the bridge and to see if the cracks reacts closing it a little bit, because maybe the gluing here is constraining the gap to close a little bit more. Or second option is to glue some parts of the binding, probably not the whole side yet, but let's see parts of the binding, to trying to see if I force the top of the guitar to stay flat, if it actually stays flat. What I mean flat is not actually flat. All the guitar top has a little bow, but you know what I mean, to have an even curve along the top of the guitar. So that's what I have to think about for a few days, I guess. In the meantime, this is going to rest in the humidifier, and I'm going to pay close attention to whatever happens in there. And also I think that while I'm thinking about it in the back of my head, I'm going to finish to glue parts of the binding here at the back. I just wanted you to know that as hard as it looked to remove the insert that was so hard to place in there, I think it was well worth it. Before I continue doing anything else, I'd like to make replacements for the binding. As you can see, the original binding is not complete, and I'm trying to use every single piece that I have, but Some of them was a little bit shorter because I got let's say the contact parts, and some of it is just missing. The guitar has been moved several times and the small pieces are just gone. But I'd like to have all the replacement that I need, just in case that I need it in a hurry. Let's say that I've glued this part here and then it's not stable enough, and I'd like to glue this part here to make it more stable, and I'll have binding enough. So I think it's a good time to make a replacement enough for all of it. And I don't need that much because there's a little bit more binding that I have that you can see here. So for that I bought these pre-cut bindings in Madinter here in Madrid, and this is rosewood. This white line is just a piece of cardboard, and I'm not even sure that this is ebony at all, but this rosewood is going to match perfectly with this old one. And for the clear wood I'm going to use maple. This is also pre-cut binding. I'm pretty sure that maple was used in the original as well, and I can use some tricks to make this look older and match perfectly. But now I'd like to show you something, and this is one of the small details of this guitar and why I am in love with it. Remember that this guitar was made in 1901. This is a piece of binding, as you can see, and check this out. 0.5 millimeters. And it's not just this piece, believe me, it's all along the binding. This is just an example. It's just like this all along the binding. It's just perfection. To match the maple I just pre-cut some strips of wood in the bandsaw, and then it's just a matter of sanding until I get to the proper thickness. These three 3.5 cm will be enough. Anything else is going to be original. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, time has come to remove the bridge. But first I'm going to make a template to know exactly what it is right now. That it doesn't mean it's going to be exactly in the same spot when the bridge is glued back in place, because maybe the position of the bridge from 12 fret is a little bit different because the guitar has shrunk a little bit. I don't know yet, but anyway, I would like to have the template of how it is right now. Yeah, high tech. I'm going to use also tape around the bridge, just in case the high tech template that I just made failed for whatever reason. Okay, let's do it. I know more or less half of the bridge is already unglued. Hail to the almighty spatula. The bad thing about hide glue is that when you are separating two pieces of wood, if it is not humidified first, it sounds like everything is cracking. It's not that it's mandatory to humidify everything. Okay, right now we are right at the crack, so I need to make sure that the spatula goes over the top of the guitar. Woo! I didn't expect that. Let's see what we have. I confess I don't like this wood here. Not the end of the world, but I don't like it. I'll try to preserve it if I can. Probably you can see it on camera, but the crack is right there. Now I'm going to let the guitar rest overnight. Tomorrow morning I'm going to check again, then we can continue from there. One side of the binding is done. So now what I'm going to do is to remove the excess binding, so that way both sides of the binding can perfectly match in the middle of the top of the guitar. It's not very easy to see on naked eye, but because the line is so thin and there is not a lot of difference between the two sides of the top, but this is the midline. So when the guitar was made in the first place, this part of the binding just should be right there were the line, but now because of the top of the guitar has shrink, I have all of these 3 millimeters left over that I have to remove. So same is going to happen here. That is going to make a total of 6 millimeters, which is a lot. The good side about all of this is that this makes me feel more comfortable about this top not breaking again. Part of the binding is finished now. Well, it's not completely finished. I have to retouch here and there, but take a look. All the binding is back in place. Take a look at this. I mean, I'm so happy and I feel so relieved. At the end of the last video, if you remember, this whole area was completely twisted. It was kind of a mess, but since I retired the insert that I made with Ilan, everything started to make more sense, and installing the binding, everything went right to the place. At that moment I really thought that it was about to be the end, but take a look at it now. Now I think that actually this reconstruction, it may have a chance. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So this is the infamous crack, and this is the insert that was in there, and as you can see now the crack is about half of the side of the insert. That it was making everything to twist. It's fair to say that this is not something that usually happens when you do this type of works. The difference here is that all the binding of the top of the guitar was removed. So as the top has shrink, when you place the binding around it, let's say that you are reshaping the whole top of the guitar to the new dimensions of it after shrinking. That's why the crack is now so thin, and it also makes me feel confident about this guitar not cracking again in the future. Now that most of the binding and the curving is in place, I think it's a good time to take care of the insert. This is something that pissed me a little bit because it was already done, but as you know, I had to remove it in order to close the top of the guitar. Good news is that I can reuse the old insert that came in one piece, and this is going to save me a lot of time. I hope to do it as good as Ilan and I did back in the day. As you can see, the insert had split because this is less than a millimeter thick. So I have to continue with some new wood from here up to here. Alright, so now I have the second part done and it's ready to be glued in place. Glued in place. So far so good. There was some more footage about the job that I made inside the guitar. Unfortunately, this was maybe erased by a 6-year-old kid playing with his father's camera. But basically what I've done is to finish the curving, place the bottom block and glue the sides to the block. Also I glued some reinforcement in here for this crack not to open later on. I thought this was a good idea since the crack is right below the bridge, so it's especially under tension in a guitar. Also I placed 2 reinforcements at the shoulder just in case, and the interior is done. I mean, in this video we have made a huge step forward in this restoration. If you remember from the beginning of the video where the job was all in waves, and what it is now is completely different. Even if the interior of the guitar is completely addressed, there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. The bottom has to be glued in place, the bridge has to be glued in place. Is this going to be strong enough to support the tension of the strings? What is going to happen with the statics? And the most important question of them all, how is this going to sound? So yeah, even if the feeling is that the restoration of this guitar is coming to an end, there are a lot of things to do yet. So hope to see you next time in the next video. Bye.